So we've got two rangefinders out with us today. We've got the Vortex, the Ranger 1000, and then we've also got the Leica, their CRF 800. And we're going to run them through a quick couple of stress tests, do some comparisons between them, and see what we like. So both of these units are rated for 1,000 yards. They're both running with a red LED on the inside, which I think is really important if you've ever used something with a black LCD display. It's really easy to lose track of them. The Leica is a single button operation, only does yards, and doesn't have any kind of ballistics or angle compensation. It's just flat straight range every time. The Vortex has what's called their HCD. It's essentially compensating for your angle and giving you your true distance. It doesn't have any kind of ballistic features in it, which I kind of like. I'll get into that later. I can get them to both range pretty well. The Leica, I've used the Leica out to 900 yards before. Today I can only get 700. And the Vortex, well, they claim to be 1,000 yards like everybody does. I can only get them to go out to 650 from what I'm looking at around me. And that's standard for most optics companies. Whatever they say, you can take off a little bit. They've both got lanyard attachments. The Vortex one has a little left and right lanyard attachment. The Leica only has a single one. They're both about the same size, a little bit smaller on the Vortex, a little bit thinner on the Leica. But then we get into some serious differences. The Leica has no tripod mount with it. You can rig one up, or you can buy a $100 accessory from Leica that will allow you to mount this to a tripod. The Vortex has a thread right in the bottom up. The Vortex uses their belt clip, which is the first rangefinder I've ever seen with one. If you've seen my review on the mountain scope, the Recon, I really like this feature. I use it a lot. You'll notice I have a couple of different carry systems I use when moving my rangefinder around. Lots of people like to keep it in the upper breast pocket. I like that the mole on the belt clip means that I can pull it and put it away without even really looking at it. I've used that Badlands case as well, which is nice because it has a lanyard tie. If you're the kind of person who loses things or leaves things, I would definitely recommend running a lanyard onto your rangefinder. And I would never buy a rangefinder in camouflage. Neither the Leica or the Vortex are available in camouflage, but there are other companies that make them in AP, and I think they make mossy oak as well. And I would never make something that expensive that easy to lose. I like the flexibility in the Vortex unit. I like that I can set it to meters or yards. I'm trying to shoot all metric now. It can either compensate for me, or I can tell it to give me my angle and uncompensated distance. The Leica 800 is actually discontinued. They've replaced it with the 1000 and then the 1600 ballistics. I chose to bring the 800 out here because it's, or was, or would be if you were buying one used, at a pretty similar price point to the Vortex. These are both sort of $400 to $500 rangefinders depending on where you shop. Can you go further with a Leica 1600? Yes, absolutely. Those, I've reached out to 1,800 yards using one of those, but I don't shoot 1,800 yards. And for another $400, for literally twice the price, for a hunting rangefinder, I would recommend the Vortex. For a long-distance F-class shooter kind of rangefinder, well, the Leica is sort of your only option. And unfortunately, you'd have to buy an extra tripod mount for it because it would make for a really good bench rangefinder.